Have you ever looked around your life and realized that everything seems fine, but somehow it isn't? That quiet moment when you wake up and the world feels still. Too still. You've done everything right. You've played by the rules. You've built a stable structure around yourself. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a small voice whispers, something's missing. That's where the first chapter of Beyond Order begins. Not with chaos exploding around you, but with the silent comfort of order that has become too comfortable. Jordan Peterson doesn't talk about rebellion or destruction. He talks about something more subtle, more dangerous. The slow decay that happens when we cling to order so tightly that we forget why it existed in the first place. I used to think chaos was the enemy, the unpredictable, the uncertain. It was everything I tried to avoid. But now, I see it differently. Order without challenge becomes suffocation. Stability without risk becomes stagnation. And peace without purpose becomes a quiet kind of death. The first rule of this book: do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or creative achievement, is not a call to obedience. It's a warning against arrogance, against the illusion that we can destroy what sustains us just because we've outgrown it. Because maybe we haven't outgrown it. Maybe we've just forgotten how to see it. Peterson says that order, family, tradition, community gives life structure. It's the skeleton of meaning. But if you worship that structure blindly, it becomes a cage. And if you tear it down without understanding it, it becomes a grave. So what do? We stand between those two extremes, in the fragile balance between the known and the unknown, between what we can control and what we must surrender to. That's where growth lives. That's where you live, or at least where you could. I think about my own life, the habits I've built, the systems I trust, the people I rely on. They all keep me safe, but sometimes they also keep me small, because every time I step outside the familiar, the world opens up in ways I could never predict. And every time I stay inside it, the world quietly closes in. Tell me, have you ever felt that tension? That battle between your need for safety and your hunger for something more? If you have, write it in the comments. Not for me, but for the part of you that needs to see that it's not alone. Peterson writes like a man standing at the edge of civilization, pointing both directions. Behind him, the towers of order we've built, strong but aging. Ahead, the wild forests of chaos, dark but full of life. And in the middle, there's a narrow bridge. He doesn't tell you which way to go. He tells you to walk, eyes open, heart steady, mind awake. Because that bridge, that's your life. And the longer you stand still, the more it shakes beneath your feet. Order is comfort. But chaos is potential. And to reject chaos entirely is to reject the part of yourself that could become something more. When Peterson speaks about not carelessly tearing down institutions, he's not saying stay where you are. He's saying understand before you move. Because destruction without comprehension isn't freedom, it's blindness. And creation without respect isn't innovation, it's arrogance. I've met people who thought freedom meant burning everything they inherited. They mocked tradition, mocked structure, mocked the past. But soon, they realized that what they destroyed wasn't oppression, it was foundation. They had to rebuild from ashes, not because the world betrayed them, but because they misunderstood what gave them balance. And I've met others who refused to change anything, who worshipped stability like a god. Their lives were calm, predictable, safe. But look in their eyes, and you'd see it. A quiet desperation, the faintest reflection of chaos knocking at the door, begging to be let in. Peterson says we need both. Order gives us a place to stand. Chaos gives us a reason to move. If you abandon one, you lose the other. So maybe the question isn't, should I choose order or chaos? Maybe the real question is, how do I live with both, without being consumed by either? And that's where the journey begins. There's a strange thing that happens when you start to question your own stability. At first, it feels like betrayal, like you're turning against the very things that kept you alive. But if you stay with that discomfort long enough, you realize it's not rebellion, it's renewal. We grow up believing that maturity means control. Control over emotions, over our circumstances, over the chaos of life. But real maturity, the kind Peterson talks about, is learning to dance with chaos instead of hiding from it. It's learning that not every unknown is a threat. Some unknowns are invitations. He says that order is where the things you understand live. Your home, your job, your habits, your beliefs. It's what you can name and what you can predict. But chaos is everything that exists beyond that map. It's what you don't know. It's the territory where your life can expand or collapse. And here's the paradox. The more you cling to order, the smaller your world becomes. The more you face chaos, the bigger you grow. When I read those words for the first time, something in me cracked open. Because I realized I had been mistaking comfort for peace. I thought if I built my life tight enough, clean enough, predictable enough, I'd finally feel safe. But safety without growth isn't peace, it's numbness. Peterson says that when you destroy structure carelessly, you invite chaos that you can't control. But when you confront chaos voluntarily, you build structure that truly belongs to you. That's what becoming an individual means. Not rejecting everything you were taught, but rebuilding it consciously, piece by piece. Maybe that's what adulthood really is. The moment you stop living inside the walls someone else built and start deciding which bricks are worth keeping. Think about it. You inherit beliefs, rules, traditions from your parents, from culture, from religion. They give you identity. But at some point, they also start to limit it. So what do? You question. You explore. You stumble. And in that chaos, if you're brave enough to face it, you find something better than certainty. You find meaning. The danger, Peterson warns, is in destroying before you understand. Because you might be killing something that's keeping you alive. It's easy to look at the world and see only corruption, to say, everything is broken, so I'll burn it all down. But if you burn everything, what's left to stand on? A revolution without wisdom always ends in ashes. He says, respect the structure that came before you, not because it's perfect, but because it carries the weight of thousands of years of survival. Civilization wasn't built by fools. It was built by trial and error, by blood and hope and persistence. So before you condemn what exists, understand what it costs to create something better. And yet, the opposite danger is obedience, the blind worship of stability, the fear of questioning, the belief that everything old must be right simply because it's old. That's how institutions rot, not through chaos, but through complacency. So we're caught again, right in the middle, between the arrogance of destruction and the cowardice of obedience. That's where life tests us. When I first started to reflect on this, I noticed how often I was hiding behind my routines. Every morning, same schedule, same thoughts, same patterns. I told myself it was discipline, but deep down, I knew it was fear. Fear of what would happen if I broke the pattern. Fear of what I might find if I stepped outside of it. And one day, I did. Nothing dramatic, just a small decision that broke the rhythm. But in that moment, I felt something awaken. Not excitement, not relief. Something deeper, aliveness. That's when I understood what Peterson meant. You don't need to destroy order to find life. You just need to let life move through it. Because order is meant to serve you, not own you. It's meant to evolve with you, not trap you. And maybe that's the hardest truth to face. Everything you love, every structure you depend on, will have to be rebuilt again and again. Because you are not the same person today as you were yesterday. And the life that fits you now will someday become too small. If you've ever felt that quiet suffocation inside the familiar, write it below. It's not weakness. It's the first sign that you're ready to grow. When you finally step into the unknown, you expect freedom. But what you often find first is fear. That's the cost of transformation. The moment when your old self resists the birth of something new. I used to think fear meant I was on the wrong path. Now I see that fear is just the sound of the old world cracking open. It's the signal that you're standing at the border between order and chaos, the only place where real change begins. Peterson writes that chaos isn't just destruction. It's the birthplace of everything new. Life itself came from chaos, the void, the unknown, the unformed. So when you face it, you're not entering darkness. You're returning to the source of creation. But that doesn't make it easy, because chaos demands something from you. It demands responsibility. And responsibility is heavier than comfort, heavier than freedom, heavier than hope. That's the truth many people run from. They say they want meaning, but meaning only comes when you accept responsibility. And the deeper the meaning, the greater the weight you must carry. Peterson often uses the image of carrying your cross, not in a religious sense, but as a symbol of voluntary suffering. You pick up the weight that life places before you, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Because you understand that in the act of carrying, you become stronger. You become real. I remember the first time I took real responsibility for something that scared me. It wasn't dramatic. It was just a conversation I'd been avoiding, one that forced me to admit my own failures. I wanted to run. But when I finally faced it, I realized that the weight I feared wasn't the responsibility itself. It was my resistance to it. Once I stopped resisting, the fear began to dissolve. And what remained was clarity. That's the paradox of chaos. The moment you confront it voluntarily, it loses its power. The dragon guarding the treasure shrinks when you walk toward it with open eyes. And the treasure, it's not gold, not success, not status. It's the discovery that you can survive the unknown, that you can stand in front of what terrifies you and remain whole. That's what Beyond Order is really about. Not control, not perfection, but courage. The courage to walk willingly into uncertainty, trusting that meaning will reveal itself as you move. When you accept that, your relationship with life changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I build from this?" That question turns chaos into material. Pain becomes fuel. Failure becomes foundation. Loss becomes lesson. Every experience, even the darkest one, carries the seed of structure, if you're brave enough to look for it. Peterson says that this act of finding order in chaos is what turns you from a victim into a creator. Because the victim says, "The world broke me." The creator says, "The world challenged me, and I built something from it." And that's the moment you stop being afraid of chaos. Not because it disappears, but because you realize it's not your enemy. It's your teacher. It's the mirror that shows you what you're capable of. I think that's what maturity really is. Learning to see chaos not as punishment, but as invitation. An invitation to rebuild your life with more awareness, more courage, more integrity. And every time you do, every time you confront something unknown and bring a little more order into it, you strengthen the world around you. Because the world isn't something separate from you. It's made of people who either face chaos or run from it. And when you choose to face it, you help balance the scales for everyone. That's why your personal responsibility isn't small. When you choose courage, the world becomes a slightly less chaotic place. When you tell the truth, the world becomes a little more stable. When you carry your burden willingly, you make it easier for others to carry theirs. So maybe the meaning of life isn't hidden in some cosmic secret. Maybe it's as simple as this. Face what's in front of you. Carry what's yours. Build something worth standing on. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. If you've ever felt that shift, from fear to strength, from resistance to acceptance, share it below. Not for validation, but to remind someone else who's standing where you once stood. Chaos is survivable. And beyond it, there's something beautiful waiting to be built. When the storm finally passes, there's a silence that follows. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of understanding. It's strange. After all the noise, the fear, the uncertainty, what remains isn't destruction, it's clarity. You start to see what really matters, not the noise you were chasing, not the approval you were begging for, just the simple, quiet structure of what's real. Peterson says that once you've faced chaos, the order you rebuild is no longer naive. It's not the fragile order of childhood, it's the conscious order of an adult. One built not on blind obedience, but on earned wisdom. And that kind of order is unshakable, because it doesn't depend on circumstance. It comes from character. When you've walked through chaos and survived, you stop pretending that safety means peace. You understand that peace is something you build, piece by piece, by choosing courage over comfort every single day. You stop looking for someone to save you. You stop blaming the world for your pain. You take responsibility, not because it's easy, but because it's the only thing that gives life meaning. Peterson often says, pick up your load and carry it. And when you do, something miraculous happens. Your suffering begins to transform. The weight you once feared becomes the structure that gives you strength. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? And in that shift, you become unbreakable. Because now you understand, order isn't given, it's created. It's not something the world owes you. It's something you owe to yourself and to everyone who depends on you. That's what the first chapter of Beyond Order teaches. Not obedience, not rebellion, but responsibility. The courage to preserve what's worth saving and to change what must evolve. And maybe that's the balance we're all searching for. To hold the past with respect and the future with curiosity. to walk forward without arrogance, but also without fear. Because chaos never disappears. It waits. Quietly. Patiently. Every time life changes, every time something breaks, every time you lose what you thought you needed, chaos knocks again. But now, you know what to do. You open the door, you face it. You rebuild. And each time your structure becomes a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more alive. That's how civilizations are built. That's how souls are built. Through the eternal rhythm of order and chaos, death and rebirth, destruction and creation. So maybe the purpose of life isn't to escape chaos or to live in perfect order. Maybe it's to learn the dance, to move gracefully between the two, to know when to hold on and when to let go, to know when to stand firm and when to fall apart. Because both are necessary. Both make you human. And if you can find meaning in that, if you can face the unknown without losing yourself, you become something the world desperately needs. A person who is stable in the storm, not untouched by chaos, but transformed by it. Not unshaken, but unbroken. That's the true beyond in beyond order. Not beyond the world, but beyond fear, beyond ignorance, beyond yourself. And maybe, just maybe, that's what it means to truly live. If you've made it this far, I want you to write one thing below. What part of your own life feels like chaos right now? And what kind of order do you want to build from it? Because someone else might read your words and find the courage to face their own storm. And that's how the world changes. One honest reflection at a time. There comes a moment, after the storm, when you stop asking what went wrong and start asking, who could I become if I stopped being afraid? That's the moment where the second chapter begins. Peterson calls it. Imagine who you could be, and then aim single-mindedly at that. It sounds simple, almost poetic, but it's one of the hardest things a human being can ever do. Because before you can imagine who you could be, you have to admit who you are right now. Not the version you show to others. Not the mask you wear when you say, I'm fine. But the real one. Flawed, frightened, full of untapped potential. And that honesty hurts, because it reveals how much of your life has been built on compromise. How many times you settled for comfort instead of meaning. How often you silenced that inner voice that whispered, you're capable of more. Peterson says, if you want to aim at something, you have to first see clearly. You have to stop lying, especially to yourself. And that's where most people get stuck. It's not that they don't have dreams. It's that they don't believe they deserve them. They tell themselves, it's too late. I'm not talented enough. I don't know where to start. But those are not truths. They're shields. Shields that keep you safe from disappointment, but also safe from transformation. Imagine this. Somewhere inside you exists a version of yourself that you've never met. Someone sharper, braver, more disciplined, more alive. And that version of you is waiting, not in some faraway future, but in every small decision you make today. Peterson says that when you begin to imagine who you could be, something inside you reorganizes. Your mind, your habits, even your perception of reality begins to shift. Because your attention is like gravity. Wherever you aim it, everything else begins to move toward it. That's why the aim matters. Without it, you drift. With it, even chaos begins to serve you. But the problem is, aiming requires commitment. And commitment means sacrifice. Every time you decide who you want to become, you also decide who you're willing to stop being. That's the part nobody talks about. Becoming someone new always means killing a part of the old you. The lazy one, the bitter one, the one who says, maybe later. And that death is painful, but necessary. Because if you don't choose what to sacrifice, life will choose for you, and it rarely chooses kindly. Peterson writes that we often avoid aiming high because it exposes our inadequacy. When you admit what you really want, you also have to face how far you are from it. But he says, that's exactly where meaning lives. Not in perfection, but in pursuit. In the daily struggle to close the gap between who you are and who you could be. That's the essence of this rule. Not to fantasize, but to imagine with intention. To build a vision that's real enough to fight for, but distant enough to keep you humble. When I first tried this, I didn't imagine fame or success. I imagined peace, the kind that comes from knowing I'm living the right way. I imagined waking up each morning knowing that I'm building something worth building. And strangely, that simple image pulled me forward more powerfully than any reward ever could. Maybe that's what this rule is really about. Not about ambition, but about direction. Because if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. But if you aim at who you could truly become, you might not reach perfection, but you'll move closer to purpose. And that's worth everything. If you've ever caught a glimpse of the person you could be, even for a moment, write it below. Sometimes saying it out loud is the first step toward becoming it. When you finally decide to aim, really aim, the world doesn't suddenly open its arms to you. It resists. And so do you. Because change is betrayal. Betrayal of your past self, your comfort, your familiar failures. You think growth feels like light, but at first, it feels like breaking something sacred. Peterson says, you don't get to choose whether you suffer. You only get to choose what you suffer for. And that's the paradox. When you start to move toward your better self, pain doesn't disappear. It sharpens. Because now, it has a target. Now, it's meaningful. Every day, you'll hear that voice whisper, "Who are you kidding?" You've tried before. You'll just fail again. That voice isn't your enemy. It's your old self begging to survive. It's every excuse, every comfort, every illusion you ever built to protect yourself from responsibility. And Peterson reminds us, that's the part of you that must die so that something new can live. But death, even symbolic, is never clean. It comes with mourning. You'll miss the person who didn't have to try so hard. You'll miss the comfort of not caring. You'll miss the numbness that used to shield you from truth. That's why transformation is sacred. It demands grief. And you have to be willing to lose the person you were without guarantee of who you'll become. Peterson says the soul of a person is forged between chaos and order, not in comfort, not in certainty. And aiming single-mindedly means walking straight through that tension. It means watching parts of your life crumble while you build something stronger underneath. You'll have days where progress feels invisible, where every step forward feels like 2 steps back, where you question why you even started. But that's how growth looks from the inside. Chaotic, uneven, slow. You don't notice change until the day you wake up and realize that your habits are different. Your thoughts are cleaner. Your silence is heavier, but calmer. Peterson calls this process voluntary confrontation with chaos. It means facing what you fear before it forces itself upon you. It means stepping willingly into uncertainty, because the alternative, stagnation, is worse. When you do that long enough, something incredible happens. You start trusting yourself. Not because life gets easier, but because you've seen yourself survive difficulty without running. And that self-trust is the beginning of power. It's not loud, not dramatic. It's quiet, like a steady heartbeat that says, "I've been through worse. I can do this too." That's when you realize the point was never to become someone in the eyes of others. It was to become someone you could respect, someone you wouldn't need to lie to anymore. That's the true aim. That's the hidden meaning behind the rule. You don't aim at success. You aim at sincerity, at wholeness, at the ability to look in the mirror and say, "I am no longer my own enemy." And when that day comes, when your actions align with your vision, when your chaos starts serving your purpose, you don't feel victorious. You feel peaceful. The kind of peace that only exists on the other side of struggle. Because meaning, as Peterson says, is not found in comfort. It's born where it hurts and lives where you choose to stay. There's a quiet moment that comes after the storm. Not victory, not triumph, just silence. The kind that makes you realize how loud your thoughts used to be. You stop chasing, and for the first time, you start listening. Not to the noise outside, but to that faint voice within. The one that says, "This is who you've always been trying to reach." Peterson wrote, "You cannot aim at something you refuse to see, and now you see it. Not perfection, not some mythical version of yourself, but the truth of what you could become if you stopped running from responsibility. Because responsibility isn't punishment, it's structure. It's the shape that gives your chaos meaning. For years, maybe your life felt like a storm without direction. Now you realize you were the wind all along. You just didn't know where to blow. And the moment you choose a direction, the storm starts to turn into motion. That's the paradox of order. It's not about controlling life. It's about participating in it fully. You realize that meaning doesn't come from grand goals. It comes from the small moments where you decide to act, when you could have chosen to stay numb. The first time you say no to your weakness. The first time you show up even when no one's watching. The first time you catch yourself before you fall into the same old pattern and choose differently. That's what aiming single-mindedly really means. It's not about obsession. It's about devotion. Devotion to a future self you haven't met yet, but already love enough to fight for. And when you live that way, you stop asking, "What's the point?" Because the point is you, the one you're building piece by piece every single day. Peterson says, the highest ideal is what calls you upward. And maybe that's what purpose is, a voice that never shouts, but never goes silent either. It just waits for you to answer. So ask yourself, who could you be if you aimed at something worthy of your suffering? And don't just think about it. Write it down. Speak it. Live it. Because meaning is not a theory. It's a practice. And life, your life, is the proof. So now I'll ask you the same question that's been haunting me ever since I finished this chapter. What would happen if, just for 1 year, you aimed at who you could be and refused to look away? Tell me what you think. What's the one thing you would change first if you truly decided to become that person? I'll read your thoughts in the comments, because we're all walking the same path, each of us trying, failing, learning, and building something that will outlast our fear. And maybe, just maybe, that's what it means to go beyond order. There's a morning that comes after every long night. You never know when it will arrive, but when it does, you feel it before you see it. The air feels different. lighter, as if the world finally decided to exhale. You step outside, and for the first time in a long while, you're not thinking about what you've lost or what still hurts. You're just here. The chaos is still there. It always will be. But now, it doesn't scare you. It moves around you like wind through open hands. Because once you've walked through darkness willingly, it stops owning you. Peterson says, "Meaning is the antidote to suffering." And now you understand. Meaning was never something to find. It was something to create. One choice at a time. One honest action at a time. One quiet act of courage when no one's watching. You think back to who you were when you started. The uncertainty, the fear, the endless hesitation. And you don't judge that version of yourself anymore. You thank him, because he was brave enough to begin. Every story of transformation starts with a single, fragile decision to stop pretending you're fine, to stop hiding behind irony or comfort, to finally say, "I don't know who I'm supposed to be, but I'm ready to find out." And from that moment on, everything changes. You still fall, you still fail, but it no longer feels meaningless. Because even when it hurts, you know what you're aiming at. And that's enough. That's more than enough. The horizon no longer feels distant. It feels alive, like something pulling you forward. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step. And maybe that's the quiet truth at the heart of all of this. That growth isn't a battle, it's a conversation between who you are and who you could be. So let that conversation continue. Let it guide you. Let it humble you. And if anything in these words stayed with you, if it made you stop, even for a moment, and look inward, then write it down below. Tell me what it stirred in you, because meaning grows when it's shared, and we're all trying, in our own imperfect ways, to make sense of this strange, beautiful chaos we call living. The sun rises, you take a breath, and quietly, you aim again. And maybe that's what all of this was really about. Not success, not perfection, not even happiness, but honesty. To look at yourself, truly look, and say, "I am unfinished, but I am moving." Because that's all life ever asks of us. Not that we become perfect, but that we keep choosing what's right even when it's hard, even when no one applauds. Peterson says that meaning is the place where responsibility and courage meet. And maybe that's where peace begins too. Not in control, not in comfort, but in the willingness to carry your own weight and still keep walking. So if you're listening to this now, don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for permission. Start where you are. Aim at what you can become, and take the first step today. Because life doesn't reward those who avoid the unknown. It transforms those who face it. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that all the chaos, all the doubt, all the pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation for this moment, for this version of you, the one who finally learned to aim, not at perfection, but at truth. And that is enough.